speaking of, we're now 8th in the APN coaches poll. And if you saw Mark Rogers' video of the top 25 that actually made sense from yesterday afternoon, you'll know that we are now 10th in the nation. But I thought to myself, surely we should be higher ranked. I mean, I'm not happy that we're not ranked higher than 8th, but I'm like, you know what? We've got plenty of season to go. We just got to win the rest of our games. We're good.
Yeah, I'm not that concerned with the rankings at all because, for one, the CFP rankings are what matter. They're not out yet. So I will see where Alabama's at, when that comes out. Barring, hopefully, we don't lose, between now and then. But, that's the rankings that matter. It kind of sucks that that's the case because sometimes the CFP rankings, they don't go in your favor. I think when Alabama's case, though, they usually do. I know a lot of people, claim that they don't like Alabama. And, they might not like Alabama, but Alabama does two things. They draw in money. They draw in, ratings. It's a big brand, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, they would have let Alabama in if they didn't have 3 losses, and especially that garbage loss to Oklahoma. But, again, we already know all that. Point is, with these rankings, they don't matter at all whatsoever. Mark has us 10th right now because he does his top 25 completely different from the AP and from the coaches, where it's about your results. I think that the Florida State loss, I'm not saying it's starting to age poorly because it's not like Florida State's awful like prior. Florida State last year, like they were awful last year. I mean, they're not terrible, but having the Virginia loss, now the Miami loss, they're 3-2 now. That kind of drags them down a bit. Plus Georgia, to be completely fair, has not looked great. And then you throw in Vandy. It's not a bad resume, but Mark, he has his reasons for his top 25 that actually makes sense. Like I said, that are completely different from the other rankings. So if you want his explanation, definitely go check out his video on that. He does a fantastic job with it. But as time goes on, though, if we keep winning, like we beat Missouri this week and we keep winning, then Mark will move us up to the top 25. That actually makes sense. I mean, we were unranked after the Florida State game in his top 25 rankings, and now we're 10th. So we've moved up big time in his rankings. But with the AP and the coaches, though, it's just one of those deals where you've got so many teams ahead that are still undefeated. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got Oregon and Ohio State and Miami and Ole Miss and A&M and Oklahoma and Indiana. What do all those teams have in common that Alabama does not have right now? They're undefeated. They have no losses. Alabama has a loss. That's why we're not ranked higher. By attrition, look what's going to happen next week. You've got Oregon and you've got Indiana. Someone's going to lose that game. So whoever loses that game, Alabama's going to pass them if they beat Missouri. Yep. Ohio State plays at Illinois. If they somehow lost that game, doubt it. But if they somehow lost that game, they fall down. Teams lose. So you've already seen Penn State and Texas fall from 1-2 to gone. You know what I mean? Like they're history. So essentially, Alabama is in a fine place right now. Considering that we were talking about Alabama almost falling out of the top 25 to now we're back in the top 10, that's pretty darn good. And we're basically still like halfway into the season or barely half or right around half. Alabama's, to me, these rankings are fine. We're in great shape right now. As long as we keep winning, we'll keep moving up the rankings because other teams are going to lose.
Well, and I was just looking at the top 25 that actually makes sense for Mark Rogers, just like double checking it. And he's got Missouri at 6th. And the AP poll has Missouri at 14th, and so is the coaches poll.
Mm-hmm. See, the reason why he's got Missouri so high is because of the fact that Missouri has pretty much dominated everybody they've played. I wouldn't say they completely have. I mean, South Carolina and Kansas, they're two, big wins. They're not big wins, but, they're two relevant enough wins. They pretty much handled business. Again, Mark has his explanations and reasons for why teams are ranked where they're at. And like I said, definitely you want to go check Mark's video out if you want a better explanation. Because I can't speak for him. I'm just saying, like, having Missouri 6, that's obviously high than the AP and the coaches, but he does his rankings differently, which the way he does is very fair. It all works itself out. Like, Missouri loses 50-0 to Alabama, then yeah, they're not going to be 6th anymore next week, and it's top 25. It actually makes sense. But if they play a competitive game and win or lose, you're probably not going to fall that far. Alabama's loss against Florida State's why he's got us at 10. That's why. We'll move up if we beat Missouri and keep winning. But yeah, it's just interesting though, because I don't think Missouri necessarily is a great team. I think they have good players. I think Drinkwitz has done a great job there. But you look at who they've played, Kansas and South Carolina. It's not great, especially because South Carolina has fallen apart, and Kansas, they're okay. Kansas is okay this year. Definitely not playing great, but I picked Kansas against Missouri. It's like, hey, I'll pick Kansas. Kansas lost. I mean, Kansas is not a great team this year, so Missouri. Well, it's going to be a big test for both teams. For Alabama going on the road again in a tough environment. Missouri's got a good environment, especially against good teams, and we'll see what Missouri's made of, because up to this point, Alabama's a big step up in competition for them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know Missouri's going to be stomping and ready to rock and roll against us, but we'll be ready for Missouri. That's for sure. Oh, man.